that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many of you Stegalls that I've actually met your brother Chase, I believe.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
and so we met through wrestling.
Okay.
Over he was doing some practicing at DeSmet. So that's
Yeah.
and I believe I met Tyler, but I couldn't. That's why I wanted to ask you if it was you that I had met and not Tyler, but you guys all look alike.
Oh man, I know. Our dad too. We all look like our dad.
Is that where it comes from?
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, that's how everybody recognizes us. We all look alike.
Yeah, I could definitely see the resemblance.
Oh yeah.
When you know the picture that I've seen of your siblings, you and your siblings lined up, it's like, oh, it's like just the same face traded over
Right.
on you guys. But that's cool. Yeah, so what I want to do is just kind of obviously get to know you a little bit
Yeah.
better. And I want to discover what it is that you're doing that
Okay.
that seems to be working, because I want to talk to winners.
Yeah.
And I look at going over your history and like your Facebook photos. At least I see your hand getting raised,
Yeah.
literally. So that's cool. And I see that obviously starting a business like
Yeah.
you've done, and you're winning in a various amount of ways. You recently got married as well, I see, right?
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
How
Yep.
long have you been married?
Going on about 3 weeks now.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that okay, that
Yeah.
is recent. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
That's cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so then that's even better because you're winning in a lot of areas, and that's one of the biggest ones. For me is focusing on the relationships too. So that's interesting, and that's what's attractive about, I guess, what I know about your story, and what I can see is that you've got family relationships that are deep,
Oh
and
yeah.
you've got obviously a strong relationship with a significant other in the terms of a fresh marriage. So
Yeah.
tell me, I'll let you kind of speak a little bit. Give me
Uh,
tell me how it all began. We'll start in the early days with the early boxing that
oh,
you've done. Tell me a little bit about that.
well, growing up, we my parents had me at a young age, so they were kind of poor when I was first born. We grew up in a trailer park, pretty rough trailer park, and I got picked on a lot. I was a little chubby kid. I got picked on at the bus stop a lot. So after getting picked on and coming home from school complaining about being picked on, my dad just kind of got tired of it. Like, okay, he heard of a boxing gym in House Springs, below a bar, actually. It was in our basement. He's like, all right, I'm going to take you to this boxing gym. I
A
heard.
boxing gym below
Yeah.
a bar.
Yeah.
Was this like a actual business, or was this a guy?
So this is the coach that I'm still with today. I mean, my dad takes me to this gym, and it's just like Apollo Creed's gym in Rocky. Man, it's dark, it's dirty. I mean, as soon as I walked through the doors, I fell in love with it. It was awesome. I mean, there was dudes just beating on the bags everywhere. It was a boxing gym, a rugged boxing gym. And my coach, he trained people for free. He was born and raised in the game of boxing, and he's the best in St. Louis at it. He's the best coach.
What's his name, if you don't mind?
Kirk Douglas.
Okay.
Yeah. His name's
awesome.
Kirk. He's the best around. But I mean, I started training for him. I started training when I was 10. I walked in the gym. First day in the gym, I sparred with a guy that already had 2 fights or so, and I busted his nose up pretty good. And then ever since, my coach just, he told me I had it, so he worked with me a lot. And
what do you attribute? So, like, most kids just kind of curl up when it's time to get bullied. They'll either run towards an authority figure, which is becoming easier and easier, or they just will continue to get bullied. Can you tap back into that thought process of like being 10 years old and thinking, I need to crack somebody back. I need to
Yeah.
fight back in terms of life. What were you
Well,
like? What about like
being 10 years old and like I said, being picked on at the bus stop and stuff. I didn't want to go home and tell my parents that I was being picked on because my dad always instilled it in us, you help yourself as much as you can. He was really big on us developing self-confidence. He was huge in that. My dad's a blue collar, hardworking man. And I mean, he's the hardest worker I know. So, after being picked on so long, I actually got hung on a fence by the back of my shirt.
get the hell out of here?
Yeah. So
Oh wow.
I told him that. My dad's like, all right. So we went to the boxing gym and that's how all that happened. And yeah,
That's
man.
cool though, because also, hats off to your dad, your old man. He
Yeah.
knew that he wouldn't help you by going to the principal or by, going to the whoever it was, even the other
Right.
kid's father or parents, mother, whatever it be, that wouldn't. I mean, you would regret, your whole life would probably be different to this day, obviously,
Oh
but
my God.
you that would be the most punishing thing you could actually do to your son. If
Oh
coming from my opinion, to do
yeah.
that. And it's cool to hear that. And, he took the path of saying, hey, I'll help you out, but I'm going to
Yeah.
show you how you can help yourself out,
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
you
That's
know?
all about. He wanted us to learn about life and not just the system, I guess you'd call it, uh, he was big on raising us to be good men and not just doing what everyone else is doing. So yeah, he took me to the boxing gym. Probably a few months after me having a couple fights, my brothers took a liking to boxing. They started boxing, and eventually my little sister, we have a younger sister, she started training for a little bit. And I mean, by the time I was 12 years old, my brothers we're all 3 years apart. So Tyler and Chase, we would be running down the side of the highway and my parents would follow us in their car. We'd run 2 miles every day to the gym. And we did this for years, and that's how people got to know us. We'd be running into town and people would be it was awful. Yeah. Would be honking at us, and people got to know us too because we played football and we wrestled. But they knew of us from running on the side of the road to the boxing gym.
That's incredible. I love
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
that's a good thing, and it is an odd thing.
It is.
You can
Yeah.
take a step back and say that is odd, but I wish it wasn't so odd. I wish that was maybe a little bit more acceptable. I wish that
Right.
was,
Uh,
like you had to
well,
maybe argue which family was running down the road instead of just your family.
yeah. It's different, like I said, growing up in a trailer park, you're treated different because you're considered poor. We weren't poor. My parents were still just figuring it out. And
Sure.
so yeah, I mean, growing up in a trailer park, outside of that trailer park, you think the world is much bigger, so me finding boxing and my parents knowing what the opportunities of boxing can bring, they really instilled it in us like, hey, if this is what you want to do, either you go all out or you don't do it at all. And my coach was the same way. He's like, hey, I was 10 years old and my coach was talking to me as if he would talk to a grown man. He would cuss or whatever, but that's what kept me in that mentality that, all right, even though I'm only 10 years old, I could look another grown man in his face and talk to him with the same amount of respect and expect it in return. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying?
Yeah, you were in a grown man's game.
Exactly.
It went from, it wasn't like a video game. This wasn't Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. Then, so you started competing, how soon after you started boxing?
I
Would you
had my
say
first
like,
fight. Had my first fight 1 week after I started boxing.
nice, baptized by
Yeah,
fire.
exactly. Yeah. And I got hooked ever since. I mean, I got my hand raised. I was fortunate enough to win my first fight at a young age, and it's addicting. It's an addicting feeling. It's the first time I was able to experience my own physical hard work. paying off. And that's an addicting feeling,
Addicting is a perfect word, because you weren't as this probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as happy and as joyful as you were, you weren't satisfied.
Yeah.
Because you wanted more. So it was such a great feeling, but yet then you were addicted and you wanted more. And it was like, obviously there's terrible things to be addicted to. And I think building, personal responsibility and earning victories is probably a good thing to figure out, to be, to find yourself addicted to, especially at such a young age,
Yeah. If you excuse me for a second, someone just walked in the gym. They just want to check it out.
Do your thing, man. I want you to do your thing.
Mike, how you doing, Matt? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, Justin.
Okay.
So,
yeah, man. Yeah.
Check
Walk around, check it out.
Sweet.
You want?
Yeah. Opened up.
Yeah, this week.
Oh, awesome.
On Monday. So yeah, it's so we offer 2 membership options, or you can pay as you go. You have the option, if you like to compete, you can compete. If you want to work out, just to work out, we do a different workout every day.
Okay.
And it's kind of set up like CrossFit, like a lot.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm kind of, I don't know if you kind of filled in a little bit.
No.
So I'm kind of new to all this. I mean,
Okay. Most people are, not everybody's boxed.
I mean, I looked around a couple gyms. We took the boy things for a while, which
It's a good business.
Yeah,
They don't develop fighters that you would learn here. I'm not trying to sound
No, go ahead.
But, I'm the best around. I come from the best.
Okay, and now it kind of, he got me up to speed a little bit with you and the family and all that.
Yeah.
But no, I'd like to. I work with him. I'm a police officer downtown.
Oh, cool.
I love using guns and hoses. It's something that I want to do.
Heck yeah.
And I'm just looking for someplace to go and learn.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is the place. Like I said, I don't brag. I'm pretty humble, but I'm the best at what I do, and training too. Come from the best trainer.
Okay.
If you want to come in here and train, you can come in here and train. But anything you might think firms, that stays outside.
Yeah. I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I want to know the right way and how to go about it. And I'm not.
First responders, everybody's 50% off on memberships too.
Okay.
So,
awesome.
Police
I
officers
appreciate that.
and
Okay. Now, I guess what would you recommend for me? Because in all honesty, I'm going into. I'd like to go into the whole gun and hose thing. I'm gonna clean up. Like, I'm not trying to go in there and
Hey, trust me, I wouldn't get in your corner. You gotta clean up.
That's kind of a mindset. Not again, never done this.
Yeah.
I don't know how the training stuff works. I come in, I do a workout.
You come in, me and you will you'll work out. I'll see what I have to work with. After I see you get in decent shape, I'll hook you up some sparring with somebody that you probably don't have any business with sparring. Sure. But I want to see what you got here.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And obviously with the job I got, I mean, that's.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not always going to have somebody I can beat,
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming in.
Yeah. I
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it. You got a card?
I don't have cards on me. Still
Okay.
waiting on that.
What,
you can call. Yeah.
or is it on the website?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You can email me. You can Facebook message me.
Okay.
Add me on Facebook, Mike Stegall.
Okay.
And and stay in touch.
Yeah.
First workout's free if you want to come up tonight and try the first workout.
And that's the other thing that I kind of got the issue with is the obviously our schedules all over
We'll
the
figure
place.
that out. Okay.
I saw you're 6 to 1?
Yeah, on Friday.
Oh, okay.
On Friday we're 5:30 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Every other day throughout the week we're 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
So, but if you want to fight, you got it. I'll make time. Get you where you need to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
I might try and get with you this week.
Cool.
And even honestly, I'm kind of at a point too where I'm trying to get the boy into it. He's
How old is he?
7.
Oh,
It's
awesome.
gonna be 8.
Bring him. Yeah.
might just do something for me,
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
get him up with
Well,
an
excited.
attitude too.
Yeah, bring them up.
Awesome.
Bring them up and yeah, we'll see you guys.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
I'll get in touch with you.
Okay.
Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah, you don't
I'm
have to
over
rush
in
out.
there.
You can take a look if you want or whatever. Yeah, this is it.
I'll kind of poke around a little bit.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. Got
Hey,
a guy
no worries, man.
hoses.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's get back to where we were at. Are you still competing?
Yeah, I actually have a fight coming up February, I believe 29th. I'm
Oh,
not
nice.
sure on that date, but yeah. Yep.
How active are you now compared to, when you had first started? I mean, are you taking 5 fights a year, or are you?
I'm not as active right now. I haven't fought in about 2 years, but I mean, as I get older, I have to work on myself a little more. Being a fighter, you're in the gym every day and you're on a strict schedule. You kind of lose touch with who you are as a person. So, the past 2 years, I've been kind of figuring out what direction in life I want to go. I went pro right out of high school. I turned pro 3 months after my senior year of high school. So, from graduating high school to jumping into the pros, it was, strict schedule, work, and train and try to make the rankings. And I didn't really have time to focus on real life things, like getting a job, finding a career, things like that. So past 2 years,
Yeah.
and I think I found where I want to be, and so I'm turning the fighter switch back on.
That's interesting. You touch on all of that because, just as a competitor myself, I wrestled in college, and it was such a sole, like, singular goal from such a young age, and maybe an immature age. High school, is when I got serious about wrestling. You got serious about boxing a little earlier even, but it's such an immature, and I don't mean necessarily a clownish way, but a young, not matured mindset of,
Right.
this is what I'm going to do. This is all I'm going to do. And then you get to an age where you kind of realize that you need more fulfillment than just a winning record or another belt or whatever it may be. And yeah, and again, I want to remind you and just tell you that what attracted me to you is that you're not just a winning boxer per se or a successful athlete. It's that it seems like you got a lot more going on.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to be said about that. How old are you?
I'm 25, just turned 25 in September.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because to have, that sort of a mindset, I think is a powerful thing at where you're at, to be at least understanding that you need a little bit more in your life to satisfy all of that and to keep you going, because now, it's brought you to new.
Right.
By taking a little focus on the direction you want to go in life, you probably are talking to me for that very reason right now. You've got a new thing going on with your business. You've got people walking through the door as we speak, looking for some influence or maybe something a little different. Who knows what they're looking for sometimes, it's always interesting.
Right.
And I like that. Your business now that you've just opened the doors, a couple weeks?
Monday, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is incredible because you got your wedding, and now you're opening the doors to this new endeavor.
Yeah.
What is the primary aim? Take me a little bit through your thought process now in what you're wanting to do here. Obviously, you got to make the bills and get things paid for to have a life worth living. But what do you? Are you wanting to pass that coaching on? Is it high level stuff or?
It's not necessarily the coaching. It's kind of combined. So I've always had a love with for personal training. I never got certified or anything like that, but it was always something that fascinated me. I just never really seen a route in it to, you know, I've never experienced a route in it to make any kind of good money. You know, everybody wants to be rich, and I'm not trying to get rich, but I want to, you know, I want to live a comfortable life.
Sure.
But I worked at a gym called Nine, and I it for a while, and I was making decent money for my age. And I'm like, man, like these people started a millions of dollar franchise with boxing. And to be honest, they don't really know much about boxing. And they got a gym and a franchise that's making millions. So I'm like, well, with what I know and my capabilities, I like to think I'm a good trainer. As you may have just heard me tell that guy, I flat out told him I'm the best at what I do. And I believe that because I come from the best.
Yeah. And you know what I like the best is that you said, we're going to start with a clean slate.
Yeah.
You know, because it is interesting how everybody wants to come in and it's odd in a way, at least from a gym owner myself at a time. And it's odd how they come in to almost tell you what they already know what to do, but yet they need your help to do what it is that they already know how to do. And it's really interesting how, you know, in that approach that you take is it's great. I like it a lot because,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, hey, I'm going to work with you, but we're going to do it my way. And, you know, because I firmly believe in it that much, and I'm not willing to work with anybody who doesn't, you know, go down this path. And obviously that comes a lot, I think, from your coach, you know, and how you were instilled. And you even mentioned that, like, listen, you know, I have so much trust in the way I was coached that I'm going to coach you the same way.
Yeah.
And you weren't seeing that at the 9 round. I'm assuming you weren't seeing that sort of influence on people.
It's, you know, 9 rounds, great. What they're doing is awesome business wise, but there's so much more to boxing. You know, when people go into a gym, it's just about any gym. When they go into the gym, it's not because they looked in the mirror and didn't like what they seen. It's because there's something going on up here, you know. And you know, I mean, 80% of the time there's something going on up here that made them think, hey, I need to go to a gym. They needed something extra in their life to do. So I think boxing is huge for that. You know, everybody, you know, it's everybody has a lot going on in life. And mental health is a big thing. It's important to take care of your mental health. When I'm away from boxing, and it's what I know, it's just me personally, when I'm away from boxing, my mental health isn't on point. It's not where I like it to be. When I'm involved in boxing, you know, I think I'm the best thing to walk the earth, you know, and that's anybody that's in their element. So, you know, if I can take business and boxing and put it together and do this every day, the best that I can, and have people have the same joy that I had with it, you know, that's pretty fulfilling. So that's when boxing and business comes into play, and I bring something to the table that a lot of these, you know, pop-up cardio boxing gyms can't bring to the table. And that's my experience and my knowledge and my love for the game of boxing and the art of it. So
that's beautiful. I like that because it's, you know, and I'm curious because I actually, and we're in completely different stages of life, but, you know, I actually closed my gym down almost a year ago, and you're opening yours, you know, and so we may, you know, have different perspectives. Mine wasn't specialized. I was a CrossFit gym. You know, obviously it's a little bit apples and oranges, but my point being is you hit it. And you said that people are going to need more than just a place to go and move around, whether it's, you know, title or 9 round. You know, if you're just hitting a bag, you can do that now in your basement. They have great apps. They have things you can follow on your TV that allow you to do the same thing movement wise. But you're not getting, if you're that person, you're not getting that connection that you're attempting and wanting and, you know, obviously delivering. I saw you had a packed house in some of your videos. That's so cool, you know, to get started with such support. And, you know, again, when people can walk in and you're going to know their name, and then after probably only one workout, you'll know exactly what's going on in their head, because that's what's so cool about fitness is once, especially if you can get somebody in a private environment and work with them and engage them in a way, you'll learn so much about them that can, it's so therapeutic, obviously, you know, again, we're preaching to each other and working on the same point, but it's like when you can allow that person to release what's happening in their world, not just physically, but that connection with who they're working with or who's helping to bring that to fruition. That's what's going to make the difference. And that's obviously, you know, something, you know, and to be able to deliver that's great. You know, it's awesome. What I want to change from the sappy bullshit to the to a tougher question for you. Not to be so blunt, but the what are you worried about? What are you scared of right now?
What am I not worried about? I just started a business in something that I don't know the business side of this. I don't know the fitness business. I've never ran a gym before. I did a little contracting, but that's totally different. I'm scared every day. Every time I walk through the door, I'm honestly a little discouraged. I'm humble. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm scared or when I'm afraid of losing. I'm discouraged because I have a lot of high expectations for myself. So first day I show up, there's only one person here, and I'm like, oh shit, like this might not have been a good decision. So that's why, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not very good at talking to a camera. You know, I'm not a social media influencer, but I'm making myself do it so that I can get better. You know, I might post 3 or 4 times a day, but it's only when I have doubt in my mind. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at this camera and talk into it and advertise my business the best that I can. So it's just doing things that I'm uncomfortable with and trying to get good at them. And if every time somebody, I know that if every time somebody comes in here and I can get them one-on-one with me, then they can leave, you know, happy. And I know I did a good job, and they can't say that gym sucks or that trainer sucks, because like I said, I know I'm the best at what I do. So I am scared of failing, you know, and I don't know what to expect because it's only been 1 week, but I mean, I do know that I have a good support system behind me, and no matter what happens, you know, everyone else will still be behind me. I'll be fine. So.
Yeah. And I didn't mean to, you know, at all say that you are making a bad move by opening you know, because I'm intrigued by it. And I think obviously with a more specialized skill, how accessible and attractive boxing is compared to how much more marketable boxing is compared to my niche, which was wrestling. I was, you know, up the creek without a paddle trying to, you know, market a gym such as like what you've got going on. So I do think that with an added touch of personability and authenticness, you know, as I talk to you right now, I can already feel that, you know, what I'm getting is not BS. It's obviously the truth. It's a lot of sometimes humble, you know, humility, and you're not, you know, you're a good old boy, that's for sure. And people should be able to feel that. Like you said, if you can get people one-on-one, it's interesting though, you relate it. It's probably similar to the fights. Like you were scared, I hope, before every one of your fights, but yet
if not, then
you pushed yourself. Right, there'd be a problem. You'd be a psychopath probably if that wasn't the case. And there's some of those people out there. I know, you know, I get it that there are. I'm sure people would argue with you, but they're a different breed, you know, and they probably don't have as much going on besides fighting.
They haven't been humbled in their life yet. That's what it is. I've been humbled by life early on, so you know.
I was gonna say, you know, you're not a social media influencer. You're not comfortable in front of the camera. You weren't a boxer at a chubby 10-year-old stage either, you know, and it was like sort of like, hey, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do what scares me. That's an attractive quality too, I think. And you know, as I talk to a lot of winners, it's almost like I'm gonna put myself through what I don't want to put myself through in a sort of way. And it's not a, you know, not to sound sick like, but it's like, hey, you know, I think this is going to be good for me. And
Sure.
I know that on the other end of it, I'm going to be better for it. Though it's scary, though it's ugly and it's dark, I'm going to push
Right.
through. And that being able to do that, I think that will definitely help you in business for sure. And being able to acknowledge your fears,
Right.
you know, and to be able to address them, because that's the other thing. And I went through a period in my life where I think that became difficult for whatever reason, to call things by name. And then it's like they don't exist.
Right.
If you don't call them out by name, if you don't talk to somebody about them, if you don't express them somehow, all of a
Sure.
sudden your problems, your issues, your concerns don't exist. And that's not good either.
Right. Right.
Obviously, you don't want to overwhelm yourself with the many concerns, because there are infinite concerns. But
I definitely believe
yeah,
no. I mean, you know, the thing is with social media nowadays, people can, you know, work a 9 to 5 that they hate and live a shit life, but get on social media for 8 hours a day after work and stay up till midnight on social media and live in this fantasy world that life's okay and there's nothing wrong and they can't fail. But the reality of it is, when you put your phone down, you know, you're just a person of many. There's a lot of people, and your name and your accomplishments, and the world's going to go on. You know, my coach always said that, you know, stay humble, because when you die, everyone's going to go back to work the next day. So, you know,
that's great. Yeah, it's dark, but it's I like that dark thinking. I actually meditate a lot. I try to think about my death. I do. I think about, you know, and that's what keeps me going. You know, it's what gets me up in the morning. Like, what is going to be left after I'm gone? How, you know, and I think you'd be almost, again, a sociopath, psychopath, if you weren't scared of dying, not in a sense of like pain or torture dying, but just of it being over, of what we know and what we can consciously comprehend, of it being done, final, book closed. How many chapters did you write? You know, it's a terrifying thought for me to think about, if God has a checklist for us, you know, and it's like, picture how long of a scroll that could be, you know, our maker, our creator, however it is you want to look at it, our potential, our physical potential, our mental capacity that we let slip by us every single day, that brings us closer to a death that we don't want. But it's like, see, I think like that. And so I like, you know, what you just said and what your coach had mentioned, you know, and it's like, if you don't look at it, if you don't take life that serious most of the time, then you're not, it's not going to be such a meaningful life. And you probably are going to have a lot of suffering around you that's undue. You know?
Yeah.
Let me interrupt again. I'm sorry, but I want to switch gears now. Let's go back to happiness then. What do you do for fun outside of train, outside of, I know it feels good to win, to compete, but what are you doing for fun?
So me and my wife and our friends, we go out karaokeing a lot. We
you
enjoy
sing?
I'll sing karaoke. I'm an amateur, but yeah, I like to sing.
Maybe. What are you singing? All sorts of stuff? Country, rock,
a lot of all sorts
rap?
of stuff. I'm really into the blues lately. There's an artist named Marcus King. He's awesome. He's an on the rise blues player. And I'm really into the blues and kind of soulful music. Country sometimes doesn't have enough rhythm for me, I guess. I like country though, but
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. What about the and again, I creeped on your social media a little bit. What about motorcycles, things like that? Are you,
Yeah, that's something.
is that thing of the past, or is that?
No, that's something me and my dad, we've always bonded over. I've been riding dirt bikes since I was 3 years old. I learned to ride a dirt bike before a bicycle. And I had the chance to get a Harley. I got a Harley. Me and my dad rode Harleys for a while. I sold the Harley, and I think I'm going to get into side by sides. I really like the side by sides.
Nice.
Yeah, off
Now,
roading I like to do often. So
where would you do that at? Would you have to trailer those places, or are you out in a rural area that you live
yeah,
in? Or?
we live in a rural area, and we grew up next to with a buddy that he has this big field, and we grew up having bonfires in it and riding four-wheelers and dirt bikes and making motorcycle tracks and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, those are things we do often: fishing, camping, all those good old boy stuff.
Yeah, you're definitely a country boy. You went to Northwest
Yeah,
high school.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, through like high school and stuff, would you make it to St. Louis often? Would you, growing up, or was that just like a rare occurrence for you? Give me an idea of that sort of a aspect of your childhood. Was that big city type of an experience, or were you not that far out?
I actually spent a lot of time in the city because of boxing. There's not a lot of boxing gyms in the rural areas, at least with many good, a lot of good competition. So we'd have to go to the city to get that competition.
No, you just find them underneath the bars. That's where you find the good.
Yeah. If you look at the right bar, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so that's where a lot of the competitions were.
Yeah. We spent a lot of times in the cities and traveling around state to state and stuff. So yeah, I'm good with the city. I don't mind the city. I'd probably move to the city one day, actually.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's nice being close to things,
Sure. Well, I mean, how big of a city is House Springs?
It's pretty good.
That's where your gym's located at, correct?
High Ridge.
High Ridge. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wrong.
it's
age.
Okay. It's about 30 minutes from St. Louis, probably. So it's not too far. But
okay.
Yeah, where I grew up was a town called House Springs, and yeah, that's a little further down.
Okay. Now, fill me in there, because that's where I got confused. Originally, I'm from Michigan, so I'm still picking up my geographic of the St. Louis greater region. Yeah. House Springs is how far out of St. Louis?
Oh, probably 20 miles outside of St. Louis.
Okay, so it's closer than High Ridge.
Yeah.
So you pushed outwards a little bit.
No, I'm sorry, that's the opposite. House Springs is further from St. Louis. High Ridge is closer.
Okay, so you drew yourself in. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
About 10 minutes further in, so.
Right. Good deal. Hey, I'll finish up here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're busy.
Oh, you're good.
What I want to do is we'll put together a good video, and I'll cut it very, so that we can, promote your gym and get your story out there, which I think is more important. That's what I want to do. More importantly is I actually enjoy the conversation aspect, we talked about. I think it's pretty cool that we can kind of sit down together virtually, at least, and get to know each other. I feel like even in a quick 40 minutes or whatever it's been, we've gotten to figure some things out. Oh, my story?
Yeah. You got to hear something.
Man. My goodness. It'd take another 2 hours. No. What I'm doing, man, here's the gist of it is working with, you already touched on it, working in the fitness industry for about the last 12, 15 years professionally, as a trainer, as a coach. I realized, and it's a slippery slope now, because I spent a few of those years addicted. I was an alcoholic and a cokehead, to be quite honest, but I managed to still stay in shape and be able to coach fitness, which actually plays off the whole idea that I kind of, once I fixed myself. I've been sober for, well over 4 years now. You still there? Yeah. And so I started coming to some really strong realizations throughout the last 4 years about health and fitness and where specifically America is as a whole. And these are big problems that people are dealing with in terms of what's between their ears, what's going on in their heads, like you talked about. And I realized I was charging hundreds, thousands of dollars to coach fitness and to teach people how to do a proper burpee. And that was just, I mean, that's just scratching the surface of a really, really big problem and not doing any justice. So there was a lot of emptiness in what I was doing deep down, even though it felt fulfilling in the moment, good workouts, I meet somebody new. And, again, with my own, after I recovered from my own personal issues and kept coaching fitness, I realized I got to do something different, and I don't quite know what that is yet. I really don't. I still coach some people with their weight loss.
Cool.
Personally, I meet them at their homes. I do in-home coaching. I'll meet people and we'll do jogs around the neighborhood. We work out in parks, things like that. But I'm really just dead set on trying to establish a better connection with with people and what it is that they're doing. And I figured I would start, like, I kind of have a theme that I want to talk to winners. And I don't mean just, like I said, victory people per se in competitions, winners in life. And so that's why I'm having these conversations. I made it a personal goal this year to have 100 conversations and to specifically figure out what people are doing that are doing things, because it's really, believe it or not, it's sad, but once you try to do this, it's hard to get a hold of people who are willing to talk to you about doing things. They'll post about it all day long on what they're doing on Facebook, but when you want to talk to them about it, most people won't be able to sit with me face to face like you've been willing to do and have that conversation. And so I find that somehow there's something powerful in this alone, being able to pass on a little bit more depth than a single Facebook post, to be able to have a conversation and to get somewhere a little deeper than just how the weather is, or, when you catch up with certain people and you really don't catch up with them at all.
Yeah, it's just like you said, it's bullshit talk. You're just kind of passing by and little short conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's I like this. And again, like how you said you struggled with alcohol. I myself, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, but when I turned 21, man, I was a loose cannon. From 21 to 23 years old, I struggled really bad with alcohol. That was something I couldn't do without, because like I said, I was trying to figure out who I was, and I just left boxing. I didn't know. But I mean, I like what you said with, those are things a lot of people struggle with, and a lot of people don't want to admit to that. So I'm glad to hear you admit to that.
I think it's just an accepted thing in the most cases. Like, I was able to hide what I was doing fairly easily with a mindset of it's okay, to drink as much as I was doing, because a lot of other people are doing the same thing.
Right.
And, it's eye-opening, going through what I went through. But, one of the coolest parts of it all is that it gives me a little bit better perspective and a better understanding for things that I maybe wouldn't have understood beforehand. Other addictions, that maybe you would question certain behaviors from somebody, lying and being late all the time, and certain things that I can, as I work with people that I love and care about, and sometimes just get paid to do, it's like, hey, the signs are everywhere. And so it's almost like I'm thankful for being able to go through what I went through. I've got a couple of kids as well that I'm gonna have to raise in a crazy ass world. And
yeah.
you know, my son is 13, my daughter's 10.
Oh.
There's video game addiction already. You know, I'm
Yeah.
actually dealing with it, I think, with my son in a little bit. It's tough. He spends part of the time with his mom and part of the time with me. So there's different structures, there's different limitations and rules. But
Right.
I think the world is a place of instant gratification everywhere, in the
Yeah.
sense of food, alcohol, drugs, video games, cell phones, social media, and we can be satisfied artificially,
Mhm.
quickly and instantly. And
Yeah.
you know,
I,
so what I've really dug into the last phase of my life is just this concept of personal responsibility. You know, what actually does it mean? And what are we, again, like I had kind of ranted about, like, what am I requiring of myself? What is God requiring of me each day, by the end of my week, by the end of my life? What should be checked off?
sure.
And, you know, so it's brought me on this sort of investigation into, you know, I don't know necessarily what should be expected of everybody. So why don't I ask
Right.
Mike what he thinks is expected of him, and he might give me the answers of life,
Yeah.
you know? So
No, man,
yeah,
that's all.
it's been fun, you know, like I said, talking to a few people, and I'm looking forward to doing it the rest of the year. I'm pretty good with setting some, I can get pretty dedicated about what I do. And in the past, I've always dedicated that to wrestling or to fitness. I'm going to
Right.
run a marathon, and I'm going to bike 100 miles, and I'm going to do each of those, and I'm going to figure it out how to do it,
Yeah.
you know, and a lot of those things I've done are things that I've hated, like running, you know, and
Yeah.
that's why I committed to doing a marathon, because God knows I'd never want to do that, but I did.
Right.
And so, you know, what do I have to do to have 100 conversations this year? Like you said, to be quite honest, a year ago this time, I wouldn't have been able to just do this and reach
Oh yeah.
out. So it's like, it took a little bit of courage, it took a little bit of planning, but it was like, I'm going to do this, and now I'm going to go after it. And it's working, I think, at least for my own selfishness. But I do like
Oh, that's
being
awesome.
able to get to know people and to
Yeah.
hear your story, because everybody's got a good story, man, if they actually let loose.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I appreciate you wanting to hear my story. Yeah.
Well, it's
You-
really only just, it's just blossoming, you know, from my point of view. You know, I thought you were younger than me, but I didn't know you were 12 years younger than me, which is cool. You've got,
Yeah.
I think I opened my gym when I was 25, actually.
Okay. If you got any
Because
advice,
yeah,
what would it be? I mean, you said you lasted however long you did in 15 years personal training. What do I have to do to last 5 years? What
man,
would you?
I think you already said it. And I hate to just repeat it, but
Oh,
what what I what I wish I would have done better is, I wish I would have understood the impact on my local community. And I think,
yeah.
as cliche as that sounds for small business, I don't necessarily mean joining the Chamber of Commerce,
Right.
or the typical stuff like that, showing up to the networking meetings. I don't mean that. I think, but again, that might be preaching to the choir with somebody like you and your family. I think you've got a huge advantage, and I would take that and I would slingshot myself with that if I were you. And I would really dig into your community that you have locally. And I don't mean just geographically, but around you and your persona and what you've done. And
Cool.
that's really just spinning off what you said earlier, man. And it's building the personal relationships.
Uh-huh.
And the way that I would recommend what I'm trying to do is what we're doing again here today, is ask better questions.
Yeah.
Ask better questions of not only the people that you begin to meet. You're going to meet thousands of people in the next few years.
Uh-huh.
Not everybody is going to be somebody that needs to be invited into your troop.
Sure.
You know, and the sooner you can figure that out, the sooner you can put resources to people who are going to help grow what it is that you're trying to do. And so, you know, when you can look at it like that, That was hard for me saying no, because people like me are asking you to do things like this that don't give you instant resources per se. And you're invited
I
to,
look at it as you're older, you're older than me and you've been doing this longer than I have. So that's what I took out of it. I was like, this is an opportunity, this is a good opportunity for me. I'm young, I'm 25 and you're somebody who I've caught up with over the years on Facebook. I was working at 9 Round while I was watching you, you'd be posting on Facebook things of your gym or training someone or training yourself. I mean, those are little things, you may not know it, but anytime people post things like that, I admire those things because those are the things I'm after, and I keep up with people I'm after. I don't really give two shits about, people breaking records in football or whatever. I don't play football. I want to be a trainer, and I want to own a gym.
Right.
So I trainers and gym owners, So
well, but think about it like this too, that even the guy that just came in off the street, everybody, if you ask the right questions, it might be sooner with 1 or 2 questions, but everybody has something that they can offer you. They might just offer you or teach you is probably a better word. Everybody has something that they could teach you. They might just teach you that a certain type of individual, the way that they answered your first question, just isn't interested in what it is that you do. So you can send them down the road, like I said, a little sooner than, somebody like, I guess what you mentioned myself, where it's like, okay, then this is worth my time in a sense of not that you're better than anybody else, but it's worth your time in the sense that it's limited and you have a mission that you're trying to do and it fits in line with that. And so that's what I mean. I think I had a difficult time saying no to things that weren't in line with my mission.
Yeah.
And I would have maybe compassion for somebody, or I would just kind of feel bad, or I would feel like I had to do something because that's what business owners do. They get approached by volunteered places to give things away for some reason, even though you just opened a business. Like, it's like, I didn't understand this. And I felt like I had to say no if it doesn't fit in line with your mission, and that's probably the other thing that, besides building the stronger relationships, I think you'll be able to do that easier if you say no to all the distractions. Somebody once told me saying no allows you to be able to say yes. Too many times we say no, we can't say no to our parents to go there after work. We can't say no to, our significant other for various reasons. We can't say no to our kids. In my case, we can't say no to a client. And next thing you know, we're just swamped. Then we can't say yes to opportunity. Right. So that's that saying where it's like, by learning how to say no, if I would have said no 4 times, opportunity breaks in and I can say yes to that because I'm ready to go. It's like keeping that punch back and just waiting, because you've seen him, how he drops his hand after every twist. And it's just like, I'm waiting, bam. Then you can take advantage of opportunity, which again, I'm giving you boxing lessons. How about that?
And again, not to take up too much of the time, talked about your experience in wrestling. I don't know your entire background in wrestling, but I mean, you said you were a collegiate wrestler. So this building that I'm in right now and I'm renting for my gym, I told the landlord, if I can get this gym to do well, in the next year and a half or so, my brothers with their wrestling background around here, they have a huge name. They're both state champions. There's a building next door to me, and the landlord actually offered to rent it to me for cheap if I wanted to. And I was thinking about a wrestling academy, like the Perler. Have you heard of Perler?
Yeah. And I mean, he sort of has the market on lockdown, which is what I would be concerned about. But what Nick does good, I think, is he does offer, he's interested in using locations too. So there could be like a sort of satellite deal where like he can run a camp or 2 for free in the summertime with your location. Again, I'm just speculating on some things that you could do, but 100%, if you've got the combat going on, the combat aspect, and that's why I was interested in, not to pick apart your idea in one way or the other, because again, it's new to me in a way, but I'm thinking, it all depends on a lot of factors. The devil's in the details, but if you can keep it separated, because old ladies, they don't like the idea of sweaty gym
Right.
things going on. And so if it's a door that shuts and the wall is done and then they go into the wrestling room type of thing, but it's all
Right.
that's always a factor. And yeah, but I think here's the thing with the wrestling that's cool is, and I'm not into it for my daughter, but I'm telling you that the girls wrestling is on the rise.
Bro. Yeah.
And what I would do is if I was opening a wrestling facility, which I'm not, but if I was, I would really market towards girls, and I would
Sure.
market it almost like the Taekwondo karate gyms did in the 80s, where it's all about self-defense. It's all about pride. It's all about standing up, because that girl power is a big deal these days. And there's nothing wrong with it, but I know it's just awfully hyped. And it's like girl power, but let's actually back it up. Let's have this chick be able to choke this dude out, or at least put up a fight. And so I think that could be a big seller. And it appears to me from everything I've seen, I still frequent little league tournaments. I'm kind of back into it. So wrestling is. Did you wrestle in high school or did you just box?
Yeah, I wrestled.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. You said that earlier. I know, obviously, like I said, I worked with your brother Chase. He's an absolute bull, by the way. He's a beast. It was only like 4 or 5 years ago that I was working with him. Now it's probably 2 or 3. His senior year. That's when I was.
Yeah.
So I don't know when that was. And as a 185-pound senior or whatever, he was tough to hang with. But it's fun to get back into the community, and it seems that, and I was dead wrong about this. I was dead wrong. I said the girls wrestling wouldn't take, and it's taken, and it's taken a lot. It's really grown.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
Yes, me too.
It's awesome.
If you have a daughter, is she gonna wrestle?
Oh, you bet your ass she'll wrestle. Yeah.
She will? You will?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
See, and I'm different about that. And I can respect it, because that's the thing. I respect wrestling. I do. And I love it. And but for some reason, yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I guess if she was pleading and just begging, because her brother wrestles, but she doesn't want a thing to do with it. But if she was pleading and begging, I think I would let her consider it, and I would bring her to practice. But yeah, I mean, if you could rewind 10 years ago when my daughter was born, and maybe more decisions were implanted in my brain about what she's going to do or where I want to kind of direct her.
Yeah.
Maybe if girls wrestling was a little stronger at that point in time, which it's really exploded in the last 5
it's
to
on the
10 years.
On the center of the state tournament now. I mean, now it's center mat.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Tournament in Columbia.
I think that's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. I think it has a lot to do with, Ronda Rousey and all those women that fight in the UFC. That's grown huge. And I think that's what it is. Do
you ever consider MMA? Have you ever trained?
Yeah, I've never trained it, but it's something I thought about. I don't like to think anything's too late, but I think experience-wise, it's too late for me to attempt MMA.
Yeah, and I'm a conservative thinker like that as well. I think, if I was to advise you, maybe we sound weak by saying it, but it's more realistic thinking about you're probably so far behind in grappling.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just the wrestling. The wrestling, you probably still are there. I mean, really, you just need to be able to defend shots, in my opinion. But it's then what do you do on the ground? And that's goofy. That jiu-jitsu stuff, that grappling,
crazy.
You almost have to have as much experience in that as like a wrestling and a boxing. Those 3 together makes you a killer. The grappling is something that it's just different. I messed around with it, and I wasn't used to going on my back, obviously, as a wrestler, and so it's like, you got to be comfortable on your back, and yeah, it's different.
That's a different position for sure.
I enjoy watching MMA. I'm not as big into it as what I was in my younger days in terms of fan
Uh-huh.
as a fan watching
Right.
it. But I do. It's hard not to respect a good one-on-one bout, and no matter
Yeah.
what it is,
Right.
boxing, MMA. I even like watching tennis at times if I come across it on TV.
Yeah.
I like one-on-one. I think that's great. I think you know how we were talking in the beginning of our conversation, not to dig back into it. I'm such a firm believer in finding a way to establish your own sense of personal responsibility,
Sure.
and there's no better way to do that than to teach yourself the highs and lows of the extreme highs, the extreme lows of competition and winning
Right.
and defeat.
Sure.
It's to handle your emotions I think it's a whole level of personal responsibility that a lot of people don't get to feel
No.
ever in life.
Right.
They get to skeet by, like you said. I think at some point in time in this conversation, they get to skeet by under the blanket of security of the system.
Right.
You can go to school these days and barely pick up your pencil, or they don't use that anymore, but you can barely do any work on your keyboard and you'll pass. No
Yeah.
child left behind. You get your degree. And then because you get your degree, the entry level into some of these colleges are just absolutely ridiculous. You don't even have to try. You can
Yeah.
drink and smoke all day and get a degree. You
Right.
skate through the system. And the next thing you know, you're in an entry level job, making somebody like me or you who's trying to get a bank account started.
Right.
You're making our day a living hell in some sort of way, which
Yeah.
we've all experienced with bureaucracy.
Oh
Because
yeah.
again, 80% is the number I've come across. It's a fascinating number. It generally represents the herd.
Sure.
80% of the people, I believe, are just getting pushed through life.
Or sheep. Yeah.
And I used to let that do what it's doing to me now pretty much all day.
Yeah.
And I've really worked with myself to just kind of understand that's the way it is.
Right.
And you got to work your way around those people. You got to help
Mhm.
those people. You got to understand those people. You got to try to save those people.
Yeah.
And it's you got to not let those people take up the real estate in your brain.
Sure.
Those are the people you need to say no to within a question or two. Like I was saying earlier, get a few questions lined up that basically say, within a matter of 90 seconds, I don't need to talk to you,
Right.
for walk-ins, and for so-and-sos. And it's like for phone calls. And because what I didn't do that, and it kind of just forced me to ignore a lot of people because I didn't
Right.
have my system set up. So at
Sure.
times I kind of maybe missed opportunities because I just didn't want to deal with it when it was an opportunity. And
Yeah.
so without a good system like that, get some good questions lined up, man, and what you
Oh,
want out of people, and
cool.
figure out really, what your demand and expectations are from future employees, and
Gotcha.
subcontractors, and people who want to be a part of your thing. Hold your
Right.
line and say, yeah, man, I'd love to have you a part of my thing. Here's what we can do.
Yeah.
Boom. And I said this earlier today, actually, to my girlfriend. In a true awesome negotiation, both
Uh-huh.
people walk away thrilled. So you don't take advantage of anybody, and they don't take advantage of you. You
Uh-huh.
set your line right where it needs to be. And hopefully, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people who are thrilled about that line and where it's
Right.
at, and say, yeah, Mike, let's do it. And then it's like, perfect. You're happy, I'm happy, rather than, again, getting engaged into something because you feel like you have to, and getting into it a few steps down the road. And then it's like, oh, I can't say no, or I feel forced to,
Right.
and it's like, we've
Yeah.
all
It's easy.
been there, and you don't. Yeah, man.
And
All
I
right,
got one more
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
So you seen the guy come in,
Yeah.
and I apologize for that, but I don't know if you heard our conversation, but what do you think about the way I approached him? He came in, he wanted to fight in the guns and hoses. He's a cop. And the way I kind of answered his questions was the way my coach would answer anybody's questions who said they want to be a fighter. What do you think about the way I handled that?
I know, man. But see, now You're
I
trying
don't
to
want to
get,
be harsh, but at the same time, I
and
like
again, and that's,
my
I
time.
think, I think it's going to take you a little bit of time to kind of figure it out, with all
Yeah.
due respect, because again, the Guns and Hoses is actually a big event.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know this really, but I mean, I'm sure you do know that. So it's like, what approach do you want to take? I think getting your name on things is a really good opportunity. So because again, say he goes in there and just gets dropped, it's not like it's your fighter
Right.
who's getting dropped, the fighter that you've worked with for years in a Missouri Gold Glove state championship. It's
Right.
the Guns and Hoses where everybody's half drunk by the time the second fight started.
Yeah.
So, but again, also I know that when I was first starting my business, I didn't want to put my name on anything unless it was pristine, in the sense of like who I'm going to train, who I'm going to work with, that's going to get promoted, such as travel soccer teams and other organizations I was working with. And, I don't think that was the smart idea. And so in a long way, I would tell you to try to get your name out there, especially in a sense of like the police and the first responders is a big deal. But I do like, man, I like that no nonsense of like, I don't care what, you're still, you said you gave them an opportunity. I like that. I was actually going to ask you, what is your business model? Are you giving everybody a free workout? How do they get to know your gig? And
yeah. So they
can try a class out.
Yep. Everyone's workout's free for the first time. And like I said, once I get that one-on-one time with them, I know they're going to come back. So
here's what I would do if I was you. I would think about, I bet you if you start counting how many people say they're going to come to a workout and don't, you'll start to appreciate just getting somebody there is really cool, even for their free workout. Then what I would say is that the next step that you want to do is what we talked about earlier. You want to get to know that person. If you have the time, I would schedule maybe even just like 20-minute sessions for free would be the next step. And that way it's bringing that person back a second time, which says a lot.
Yeah.
And yes, they're not committed financially, and you do have a lot of people that will waste your time, and you're going to have to sort through that with a couple good questions to not offer those people a personal session. And so I wouldn't publicize it, but I would speak to people after the class or somebody that you got personally engaged with and say, hey, meet me back here at a time next week that works best for you. We got to do our 20-minute and name it something. Name it whatever, our 20-minute time with Mike, our 20-minute personal prime time, our 20-minute something. And that way they feel it's a system, it's a thing, even though it's necessarily not, you just felt good with their vibe. And then if they show up to that, what that's saying is that they were as courageous as you and I to start to kind of unravel themselves with you. And then from there, obviously, I think you got to pitch them. Not pitch them, throw them away. You have to sell them a package. I mean, it is a business. You have to make your money.
Right.
But at least, and then again, package wise, just make sure you have something that is a group type package that they can do for cheap, and then have the big, don't sell your personal time. You've got so much you have to do. Don't sell your personal time cheap. Make sure your one-on-one training price is where it needs to be, and then maybe even think of raising it by 25%. And I say that because I think it'll help you sell more memberships, which will help you make more money when you're sleeping, when when generating the business aspect of it. And then your time that you charge individually represents that a little bit more. Does that make sense? It's something that they can fight against. Like, oh wow, he charges thousands of dollars for the private training packages, and it's like it's just a couple hundred for a couple months or for a 20 pack of classes. And it's like, yes, exactly. And you want that person who's really going to consider it to start then wasting your time.
Sure.
And then maybe, because that's when you work 3 to 4 weeks of check-ins with text messages and really working and trying to sell that big package.
Right.
Because you got to put that time in for that, but you got to make that worth it. And
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that would be my advice, man.
Okay. Yeah, man. I
Yeah,
really
dude.
appreciate you taking the time and reaching out to me to want to do this call. I really do.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be good. You're helping me out again. A good negotiation, a good partnership is when both people can kind of say, "Hey, this was good."
Yeah.
You know, we each got something out of it. I will make it out to your place.
Okay. Cool.
I want to see what you're doing, and then we'll put out a good video. And what I like to do is also put out some good shorts when we really kind of get to the crux of something that we were, jostling with for a minute in a conversation, and
Yeah.
so we'll put those out, and I'll send those to you, and that way you can just share those
Okay.
and help promote you and help promote what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I'd like to get out there and see you and meet you in person, see the
Yeah.
place, see what
Yeah.
you're doing. It looks great. Who did all the work? Is that your family and you?
Me and my dad and my father-in-law. It was us three, and we worked at it for 2 months. And
Dude, you guys did a killer job.
thank you.
Because that was one of the bigger struggles I had with a facility, is actually maintaining it, doing the work.
Oh.
I can't change a light bulb. I can
Yeah.
I can hit some complex wrestling combinations,
Yeah.
a few series here and there, but I can't change a light bulb. That'll defeat me.
Yeah. Hey, some people, not everybody can do that stuff. So
We all have our certain talents.
That's right. Yeah.
Mechanical and construction is not mine, but it looks like you guys killed it. So
Thank
it looks great. You got an awesome place. And yeah, I'm wishing you luck. I'm not that I necessarily believe in luck. I know that there is an arbitrary factor in life, but I hope the best for you, because I know it's tough. It's not like people are just walking through the door, although obviously, we did get to see that. That's awesome. But I know that feeling, where it's we want to show up that first day, and we want to have a line out the door as if it was like Apollo Creed and Rocky.
Right.
I know that feeling. And so I'm rooting for you, because it's going to take that amount of work, just like it did Rocky, and anybody else who, again, I'm preaching to the choir, that as well as I do. But yeah, and thanks for taking the time as well, because I appreciate you being open enough and bouncing ideas around and speaking from the heart. It's all too uncommon these days, and I don't like it, but it's that's all the more refreshing when we can have that happen, and we can kind of connect like that. Man. So
good to talk to a real person. So yeah, I enjoy
likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. Yeah, man. I'm actually in my travel van right now. So we're my girlfriend and I, we're on the way down to right now. I'm in it, and I had to pull off the road, and which is nice. What I'm doing right now, I kind of took a step back, like I said, from life, and I'm able to have some time off periodically and get away. And so that's what we're trying to travel more and see, and again, I did a lot of traveling through wrestling through those days, but it wasn't enjoying, it wasn't taking anything in. It had a whole nother aim. So this is good. And we've been enjoying it, but it's also nice to combine, a little bit of work, if I could call it that. But it's been enjoyable talking to you, dude.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, brother. Well, I will let you go. I really do appreciate it. I'll touch base with you here in a few weeks, and maybe I can. But I'm really firm on my promises, and I'll give you a 4-week. I'm giving myself a 4-week deadline, and I'll be up there to. I'll probably have you put me through a little workout too, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can bring.
Because that would be cool.
So.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll do that then. And we'll firm up a time, but a 4-week deadline, and I make those happen for sure.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, buddy.
Take it easy.
Hey, have a great day, man.
You too.
All right, bye-bye now.
See ya.